A fast-moving snowstorm is approaching, and for many areas, this will be the first accumulating snowfall of the season. We will first review the timeline for this event, and then we will discuss how much snow your particular area can expect to see from this storm system. After that, we will look deeper into next week and the beginning of December to try and determine what we can expect next. We will also look at any other storm systems we are monitoring. We will go over all the time frames that we need to keep an eye on, and we will examine the weather patterns together, which I always enjoy doing because, as many of you know, I truly enjoy discussing winter weather. A very good Thursday evening to you. I hope you are all doing well. If you have not already, I invite you to subscribe, and please like the video if you find this information helpful. And as always, if there is anything I can keep in my thoughts and prayers for you, please feel free to leave a note in the comments below. First, let us take a look at the current conditions. I am recording this video at approximately 6:15, that is 6:15 Eastern Time. So, we do have some snow in the air out there. However, even though the radar shows blue, which indicates snow, not all of this is reaching the ground as actual snow. We have some sleet mixing with snow and also with rain, particularly the farther south you go in Middle Tennessee. But please, let me know what you are seeing in your area. We have some moisture moving up into Kentucky, where there is certainly some deeper, colder air in place. So, this precipitation is likely falling as snow wherever it is reaching the ground. The radar also shows some moisture entering southwest Virginia. I am not certain what is actually hitting the ground at this very moment, but this is the storm system we are tracking. This is the moisture. You can see areas of yellow, which indicates we do have some heavier precipitation associated with this. So, if this moisture can move up and meet the cold air that is in place up here, we are going to have some heavy, wet snow. These are the current conditions. Looking at the live radar, and here is the latest information regarding watches, warnings, and advisories. Well, there are not currently any warnings in effect. You may recall I mentioned that some areas could be upgraded to winter storm warnings. As of right now, that has not happened. And I was also saying earlier this morning that I had anticipated we might see some winter weather advisories for Nashville and perhaps points to the north. But at this time, we do not have those. These areas shaded in a bluish green are simply special weather statements for a wintry mix, which is currently ongoing. But this is the core of the system right here that is on its way. Winter weather advisories extend all the way down here to just south of Asheville, and all the way up through the Boone and Banner Elk area. They now also include northern areas of North Carolina, such as Greensboro and Winston-Salem. The Durham and Raleigh areas do not have a winter weather advisory at this time. It does include Petersburg up to Roanoke. Oh, I am sorry, Richmond, my apologies. Roanoke is located over here. It also includes Lynchburg, Charlottesville, and we now have winter weather advisories up here into Baltimore, Washington, D.C., and into southern areas of Maryland, including the Tidewater and Delmarva areas. Technically, there are no winter weather advisories in effect for Delaware as of this moment. However, I will tell you that the changes we are observing seem to favor more winter weather farther to the north, and we will go over that in more detail as we continue to move forward throughout this video. So, no winter storm warnings right now, just the winter weather advisories shown in purple. Let's review the latest radar. Well, not the radar, but rather the short-range model that we have available, which could give us a good idea of what the real-time radar will look like. We are going to begin this at around 8 p.m. Eastern Time. If you lose track of the time frame, just look up here at the top of the screen, because I may neglect to mention the time at certain points, but this is going to be a quick-moving system. So, we move forward in time, and we start to get, if we can get this in motion, there we are, and we start to move into, say, 10 p.m. this evening. That is just a few short hours from now. It will still be snowing quite heavily in eastern Kentucky. Snow will be falling all the way up here into Beckley and Charleston. Will it make its way all the way up to your location? If you live in Charleston, please let me know. And I truly hope if you are a fan of snowy weather, if you are a snow fan there in Charleston, that it does make it to you, because this part of West Virginia can sometimes be shielded when it comes to winter weather events. It is a bit of a lower elevation area. But anyway, let us keep moving forward here. The snow begins to move into the southwestern sections of Virginia, and then we switch to some heavy, wet snow down here in the Boone and Banner Elk area. The latest high-resolution model does not show much winter weather at all down here toward Asheville, for places like Waynesville and Hendersonville, but we could certainly start off as a wintry mix. And the winter weather advisory discussion for this area states you really need to be above 3,500 feet. So, we will see what happens. But it is starting off as just good old-fashioned rain in Winston-Salem and in Greensboro, but it could eventually switch to snow as we get some dynamic cooling. That is when the atmosphere begins to cool down, and we can switch from heavy rain to perhaps a burst of heavy snow. But it is snowing in Roanoke. Let us move in a little bit closer. It is snowing in Lynchburg. It could start out as a little rain in these areas. In Blacksburg, very heavy snow is expected. Let us make this view a little bit wider again. And we continue to move forward until about 1 to 2 o'clock in the morning. And the system continues its progression, and you can see the rain-snow line begins to shift a little bit farther to the south, down into the Greensboro and Winston-Salem area. For Raleigh and Durham, it is just rain. In Danville, it is now snowing. In Richmond, it is now snowing. Petersburg is snowing. Charlottesville and Fredericksburg. The snow is getting all the way up to the Washington, D.C. area. Winchester is now seeing snow, and there is still some snowing back here in eastern Kentucky. Will it switch to a period of snow in, say, the Tri-Cities area, including Johnson City and Bristol? I do believe we will get a little snow from this. And I will also mention, let us go back here. I do not want to completely forget our friends over in Tennessee. There is still some winter weather falling, and around 2 in the morning, between 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning tonight, here in Middle Tennessee, you could still be dealing with a light wintry mix, but the core of the system will have since moved into the mid-Atlantic. And we continue to move this forward and take it until about 5 o'clock. The sun still has not come up yet. It will be more of a wintry, icy mix. This is when I believe we could be dealing with some freezing rain in the Boone and Banner Elk area. It might get a quick inch or two of snow, followed by a coating of ice. It will still be snowing in Richmond and Petersburg. Will you switch to snow in Norfolk or Chesapeake or the Hampton Roads area in general? We have to watch that rain-snow line and also where sleet is falling, which is just north of the Rocky Mount, Durham, and Raleigh area. How far south will this drop? So, the general theme, the trend that we are observing, is that this system has trended so fast that the cold air has not had sufficient time to really work its way in, because the cold air is trying to come into place at the same time. So it is sort of outrunning the cold air source trying to come in. The moisture is arriving more quickly, but the cold air is struggling to keep up for the southern areas. There is plenty of cold air in place once you get into Virginia, but you know, we get to 5 o'clock in the morning, and it is now snowing in Baltimore. In Washington, it is snowing across all of southern Maryland. In the Tidewater area, Salisbury, you are getting snow. In Dover, it is now snowing. The snow is getting all the way up to Atlantic City on the latest high-resolution model run. And then we continue to get to about 8 o'clock, with snow still flying throughout the southern areas of West Virginia and Virginia. It is still snowing in Richmond. And then we get all the way to about 10 a.m., and we still have a wintry mix ongoing in certain areas, but the blue shading still represents snow. So, for certain locations, it will be snowing for several hours. This is at 10 in the morning. Tomorrow morning, it will be snowing all the way up into areas of Philadelphia, Wilmington, and Dover, and let us see if we have the latest run here. Yes, it continues to trend north. For example, this is the model run at 8 a.m. for the current run, and then we look at 8 a.m. for the past run. And I just think that we are seeing a slight shift to the north. You see that little nudge to the north that we had here, so I want to continue to watch it. If we go back and we look at the 18Z model run, it is not a whole lot different, but we do keep this going here just so we can see the finish, the life of this system. And it does not appear to reach as far north as Long Island, so that is the system. Let us go over the forecast snow amounts. The latest we are going to update some of these graphics because I do want to get the latest and greatest information, and I do not think it changed at all. But this is for eastern Kentucky, 1 to 2 inches in Hazard, Pikeville, 1 to 3 inches, Black Mountain, 2 to 4, Harlan, 1 to 2 inches, Middlesboro, 1 to 2 inches. And I think we could get a little bit of light snow in the Cumberland Plateau. And in fact, I am going to actually look at this on the fly here, because I had intended to bring this up. Let us see if I have it memorized. I believe it is OKX. I think that is the Nashville. No, that is incorrect. So, unfortunately, that is not right. I was going to try to pull up Middle Tennessee there, but I do think some light snowfall accumulations. You know what? I do not want to leave you without that information. I have to pull it up. It just bothers my nerves too much. Let us go look at this. And let us look at snow. So, yes, there are a few tenths of an inch of snow forecast for areas of, like, the northern Cumberland Plateau in Tennessee and north of Knoxville. So, you see this kind of grayed out area where we can get a few tenths of an inch of snow, perhaps 1/2 of an inch of snow. Maybe someone could manage to get an inch, but it is likely going to be under an inch. Alright, so we go back to the Greenville and Spartanburg area. Let us see if we have a new updated graphic with this. We do not. So, going for a few tenths of an inch of snow here in Hickory, Lenoir, Marion, Burnsville, maybe an inch in Newland. And I do think there are some freezing rain possibilities here in these orange shaded areas, where over 1/10 of an inch of freezing rain could fall. So, just watch out for some freezing rain in areas of western and southwestern North Carolina, these favored areas. But then we take it on up here. Let us see if we have an updated graphic. I am sorry, I keep checking. Yes, we do. So, I am glad I did that. It looks like they have increased the projected totals. I do not believe I remember what the last one just showed, but Roanoke is now up to 3 to 5 inches of snow. Lynchburg is closer to 4. Lexington, 4 inches. Charlottesville, 3 inches. This is getting a little bit closer to what we consider winter storm warning criteria. Okay, Lewisburg, 4 to 5 inches. Now, Mount Airy, 1 to 2 inches. Wytheville, and please correct me if I am mispronouncing that, Wytheville, 3 inches of snow. Boone, about 1.5 inches. Bristol, about 8/10 of an inch of snow. Roanoke, Johnson City, not calling for anything. Danville, 1 inch or 2. Martinsville, 2 to 3 inches of snow. And this could fall quite rapidly, folks. But this is the latest graphic. No ice is really expected in this area, the latest from West Virginia. Let us update this. And, not much has changed. Beckley, 3 inches. Charleston, well, it is certainly cold enough out there for snow, friends. Let's see how far north this band of precipitation can get. We are forecasting 6/10 of an inch of snow in Logan, 1.5 inches in Grundy, and 3 inches of snow in Snowshoe. Now, as we take a look at the Raleigh-Durham area, we are currently forecasting about 2/10 of an inch of snow in Durham. Burlington, Greensboro, and Winston-Salem are all expecting about 1/2 inch of snow. For Roxborough, the forecast is for over 1 inch, and I believe this may be a bit optimistic for this area, so we will watch it closely. Now, let's update this graphic to see the very latest data. This is a region where the models are being quite generous, and I do think it could snow for several hours in this area. But Farmville is forecast for 3 inches, Richmond for 3 inches, Petersburg for 2 to 3 inches, and Williamsburg for 2 inches, as is the Norfolk and the Hampton Roads area. But I do think you are going to stay mainly rain there. I dislike being the bearer of disappointing news if you are a winter weather fan, but South Hill is expecting 2.5 inches of snow. For Ononcock, and I hope I am saying that correctly, we are forecasting 1 to 2 inches of snow. Salisbury should see around 1 inch, and Cambridge is also expecting 1 inch of snow. So, this will be a very nice event for this particular area. And then we will take a look a little farther up the road. Let's update this graphic as well. Forgive me for doing this repeatedly. I just want to make certain that you all have the freshest information. For the Washington and Baltimore area, I think we could receive a 1/2 inch to 1 inch of snow, especially if this system continues to trend northward. I believe that these totals up here have the potential to be increased to over 1 inch. Fredericksburg is forecast for 2 to 2.5 inches, and Lexington Park for 2 inches. And here are some other areas as well. As we move up the road into the New Jersey National Weather Service forecast area, Milford could receive 1 inch. I could see this area, and I am going to draw on the map here, potentially receiving more snow than forecast. If we can get a band of light to moderate snow to move into this region, it is quite possible someone could measure a full inch of snow. So, we will continue to analyze this situation. It is quite remarkable when you consider that some of these areas are going to receive several hours of snow. I want to go back and look at Richmond, for example. We could see 1, 2, 3, up to perhaps as much as 11 hours of snowfall. With that kind of duration, I truly believe someone is going to see higher snowfall totals than are currently forecast. I just really think they will. So, let us go over the latest European model. What else are we seeing as we look farther down the road? It appears we do not have the complete run of this one yet. Yes, that looks different there. Alright, let's focus here. Let us go back. What is next after this storm system? We will begin this on Sunday morning. There is going to be a pretty aggressive clipper system diving down out of the Midwest. You see these darker shades of blue on the map. This indicates some heavy snow. On the warmer side of this system, you are going to get mainly rain, but this dives in, and then we are probably going to get some light to moderate snow across the Ohio Valley on Sunday evening, and into the northeast. It will be too warm for any of that farther to the south. And then we start to get into about Monday morning. There is some energy trying to connect here. Okay, and you can see some splotches of blue here. This is some light snow extending as far south as Tennessee and even northern Georgia. And we have a chilly rain as cold air moves into place. There is some energy attempting to connect here, with some digging going on. but nothing ever fully materializes. And then, we are starting to move into Tuesday. Another clipper moves through the Great Lakes region, and that brings more snow into the northeast. And then another clipper dives in with a trough. This could bring some moderate to heavy snow. I am personally hoping this system digs a little bit more to bring me some snow in the mountains. I am going to be visiting the mountains next Wednesday through Sunday. It does, however, bring some moisture all the way down to the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee in the form of what we call northwest flow snow showers. And then another clipper system dives in next Thursday around this time, and it looks aggressive. All of these systems have the possibility of trending a little bit more to the south if this trough and this energy dig more deeply. But the common theme that you are seeing with this pattern is a lot of northern stream energy. There are no huge storm systems to speak of. But I do want to look at the 18Z model run that I showed you a moment ago. Looking at Sunday morning, watch how something is developing here by Monday morning. There is some energy digging, and something is trying to connect here. We see some light snow across Kentucky on Monday morning, and oh, look at that! That is a new development. That will probably get people in North Carolina discussing things in the weather forums. But there is something connecting here. Some snow breaks out across areas of North Carolina, and you can see some dots trying to connect here. The model shows some light snow in eastern areas of North Carolina. There is some phasing of energy trying to get going. And that is why early next week continues to be a period of interest. It is just there, and we need to monitor it. We have to figure it out over the next couple of days, won't we? Something is there. So, the American GFS model continues to trend away from that idea. It shows that aggressive clipper, which will probably bring some moderate snowfall accumulations across the Midwest later this weekend and into late Sunday night. And I mean, that model shows some heavy snow. Now, the GFS model wants to connect the dots here and turn this into a full-fledged snowstorm Sunday night and Monday morning across the Northeast. So, we are going to watch this. This is under 100 hours away, too. It shows a little bit of snow down the central to southern Appalachian Mountains, but no dots connect like the European model shows, correct? And then what happens after that? We get into Tuesday. We get into Wednesday. Here comes another substantial clipper system right here diving in. That is a 980 millibar northern stream clipper, which is quite aggressive. And we get all kinds of energy showing up across the eastern United States by Thursday morning of next week. And then here comes some more energy diving in. And it actually tries to connect some dots here, you know, next Friday the 12th, and we have some light to moderate snow around the mid-Atlantic. There is just a lot happening between now and the next 7 to 10 days, but there is nothing huge showing up on our radar. There are no high-impact model runs, that is what I am trying to say. So, as far as the 20, well, this is actually, no, let's move this in 12-hour increments. This is the 12-hour ensemble, showing periods of snow. Okay, so you are going to see the signal. Here comes that first clipper diving in. It shows a little tease of snow dropping down to the upper southeast and the mid-Atlantic. And then we move forward. There is that big clipper on Tuesday, diving across the Great Lakes in the northeast. And then what happens after that? Everything is rather scattered. You can see there is a snow line dropping all the way down to Tennessee and North Carolina, with the northeast getting its share. And I think that is the sign of a big trough that is going to dive in. There is a lot of energy associated with it, but that does not mean the energy is going to connect for a bigger storm system. And if we look at what is going on between this weekend and about 7 days after, you see the blue. This indicates lower pressure, and there is energy associated with this. And this normally brings cold air. It is a dip in the jet stream diving across the central and eastern United States, and this is a spiking of the ridge in the warmer colors. So we continue to move forward. We get this energy that swings in and out early next week. And then we get a reinforcing shot of cold air for the northern sections of the country. But this will bring some cold air down into the southeast as well. But you can see that the trough, the greenish area, is really pivoting over the Great Lakes in the northeast. This tells me that you are probably going to get a lot of energy diving in through this area, which supports exactly what we just showed you all. Systems are not likely to dive down here in a pattern like this. Okay. But as you continue to move into later next week, you see this big lobe right here. It digs more. So there is going to be an opportunity as we stop it here. This is next Thursday, a week from today. There's going to be an opportunity for some more energy to dig a little bit further south. So, can something sneaky happen in this time frame here, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday of next week, as a big dip in the trough and the jet stream occurs over the eastern United States, and you can see it here. Here are those dots of energy. And let us back it up a little bit. There is that energy we want to watch for late this weekend into early next week. Alright, something is digging here, and it reflects what we just showed you on the 18Z European model. It showed what could happen, and then everything else kind of begins to start streaming out of this direction. Watch as I get this back in motion. Okay, but then, as we are getting into late next week around this time, you are going to have some energy that has an opportunity to dig farther south with a trough digging down more aggressively to the south. So that could open up the door for maybe something to connect. It just looks like the subtropical jet, the southern stream, looks pretty quiet. There is not a great deal of energy to be picked up by the aggressive northern stream right now. So regardless, reinforcing shots of cold air are on the way. Okay, so this is getting into Monday. You can see those purple colors showing up. Those represent about 20 to 25 degrees below average temperatures for your specific area in this region. So if your average high is, and I am just speaking generally, if your average high is 45 degrees and you end up getting 20 degrees below average for high temperatures, then you know you are going to have temperatures in the 20s for highs. So we keep going. Below average temperatures are expected to stick around, and then the atmosphere might modify a little bit. Then you have that big dip in the jet once again late next week and next weekend, which I think will be the big time frame of interest going forward. That reinforces the cold air. And then, even after 10 days, folks, the cold air sticks around, and then another reinforcing shot at the very end shows up, which fits the very end of the ensemble run. It looks like a ridge tries to build here, and everyone has been talking about this. Are we going to have a mid-month warm-up? I would say not so fast. That ridge does not even really build over the southeast or the eastern United States. It just... Here comes another trough digging down right behind it. I am telling you, my model guidance will continue to adjust colder because of the Madden-Julian oscillation progression, but if you look at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, this runs from the 10th through the 14th, issued today. It is still forecasting below average temperatures in the blue shaded areas. Okay, but it looks dry. It appears dry for the southern tier of the country, and the northern tier looks to have a festival of clipper systems. When we go to the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, for the 12th through the 18th, we are getting deeper into the month now. The forecast still calls for below average temperatures in the blue area. The deeper that blue is, the more confidence that they have that we will experience below average temperatures. And it looks a little bit more, it is buckling a little bit more, but for the most part, the cold pattern remains. For the most part, it appears the northern areas of our country will see more precipitation, while the lower regions will experience a bit less. But please remember, this forecast can change, and sometimes quite quickly. That is the latest update for now. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoy the snow you will be receiving tonight and into tomorrow. It is certainly shaping up to be a beautiful and festive snowfall. This is not expected to be a debilitating snowstorm by any means, and it is hard to imagine anyone complaining about a gentle 2 to 4 inches of snow in Virginia on a Friday in early December. For those of you in places like Roanoke, it will be a wonderful evening to stay in. It is truly an exciting event. Hopefully, our time for winter weather is coming soon for those of us in the deep south. I have high confidence that it is. We simply need to continue to be patient. Please remember, it is only December the 4th, so the season is still quite young. That is all for now. I wish you all a very good and wonderful night.